Well, good morning, Bakersfield, surrounding communities, and everybody watching online on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. I'm Chris Burdick. That's Sparky. Sparky, good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Let them know what they're in for.
We'll recap our long 3-day weekend, 4-day weekend, 3-day weekend. Yeah, 3-day
Depending
weekend.
on what day you work on.
We'll talk a little natty. Of course, what a game. I'll just say, what a game. We'll talk about the national championship from last night. We'll recap where we sit in the NFL, whether it's the playoffs, the head coaching, and a big injury in the NBA last night. Plus, we'll talk wrestling with our boy 24KG at 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday, and you can call or text in anytime at 661-842-2000.
WWE has Saturday night's main event this weekend. We got Royal Rumble next weekend. It's starting to ramp up, man. It is playoff time for wrestling, essentially. That's what I like to call it, because these next couple PLEs, the winners of these matches do matter, because you get an automatic bid at WrestleMania, which is essentially their version of the Super Bowl. So this is going to be very interesting to see. But we have to start with the entire divisional round, the route to the Super Bowl, which we got to witness over the weekend. And it started with a game that honestly a lot of people can't stop talking about right now, because there's a lot of things to question about this game. The Buffalo Bills against the Denver Broncos out there in Denver. Cold, high up there in the atmosphere. And to be honest, I don't think Josh Allen has ever felt so low. Even to the point where he was crying after the game, saying that he was letting his teammates down. And don't get me wrong, he did. He really did. I mean, and even to the point where Cam Newton was on First Take yesterday questioning if this guy's got the clutch gene. Now, I'm not going to go that far. I think we've seen enough football from Josh Allen to know he's got at least a little bit of the clutch gene in him. You don't win the MVP if you don't. Let's be fair. But this was their best opportunity. This was his best opportunity. And I personally blame Brandon Cooks. How you let go of that football, bud, I don't know. And a wide receiver that's been in the league for this long, has played for this long. Now, personally, I am in the opinion he was down. That boy was down. That knee was down. He clearly has possession of the football. That boy was down. And if you need any evidence of him supposed to be getting called down, all you had to do was watch football on Sunday when Devontae Adams had the exact same thing happen to him in the game against the Bears. And guess what they called?
A catch?
It was a catch and a knee down. So every fan in Buffalo was absolutely livid over the weekend. Even to the point where them firing their head coach, although, let's be honest, we've been talking about it on this show for weeks now, that if they weren't going to make it to the Super Bowl this year, McDermott would be finding a new job. I don't even think the fan base cared that he got fired. I really don't. I don't think they were even noticing it. You want to know why? Because there was no uproar online at all. People were so upset about the game, they didn't even notice McDermott got fired on Monday. If it wasn't for McAfee talking about it, I'm pretty sure the entire city of Buffalo would still think they have a head coach. And I don't blame them. I mean, this was one of those instances where the refs took it upon themselves, and Denver was the beneficiary of it. Good for you. You get to move on to the next round. No one could take that away from you. But they did take away your starting quarterback as he broke his ankle on the knee down on the last play.
Craziest thing I've ever seen.
Why are you not just... That was the weirdest knee he could have ever taken as well. Why he pivoted to the side, I don't know. That entire end of that game was really weird to me. But regardless, now you have to go into the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots with Jared Stidham, who I'm not even going to get into it. The last head coach this guy had was the offensive coordinator of New England. So you really think that this is going to work out in their favor?
Eesh. Yeah, I'm not feeling too great. I'm glad Denver won. Obviously, not being a Bills fan, I was torn on that interception, because the more they slowed it down, the more it looked like an interception. but if you watch it in full speed, it looks like he was down.
It's dude, in my opinion, he was down. But that's again just
But that's
me.
just like I said. If you slow it down,
Yep.
it looks like an interception.
But
if
I
you
feel
watch
like
it in speed, yeah, okay, it's a pick. Personally, that game was theirs to win.
yes.
They had multiple opportunities. Even if you just take away that play,
Yep.
they had multiple, and they kept continuing to shoot themselves in the foot. James Cook, being James Cook, had a hell of a game. I thought Denver was going to lose that game in the first place, but the firing, which is not a big surprise. The more surprised that I was the promotion that they give to Bean.
Right.
I'm like, what do you do? I mean, you can't have both. I mean, all right, you're going to let one go, but then upgrade the other one. I don't get it.
Billy Bean, again, I don't think really deserved the promotion. I think at this point they were just looking to move him out of that GM spot so they could find somebody else to come in and take it. But this guy has drafted 2 Pro Bowlers in 8 years. And I think one of them is Josh Allen. He hasn't put a team together to help Josh win anything, let alone have Sean look like a pretty competent defensive coach. And honestly, that's the one thing about all of this, or at least these 8-9 years that McDermott had in Buffalo. This is the most successful stretch of Buffalo football probably in the history of the organization. Granted, they've lost 4 division or in the divisional round 4 of the last 5 years, but they've still made it that far. Buffalo is one of those teams that they have never been good. I mean, the stretch of Super Bowls, sure, but they lost each and every one of them. And honestly, it's kind of going back to the same question we have with a lot of these other teams that made their decisions last week. Is there even anybody better than McDermott right now out there for you to go pick up? The only one in my mind that pops up, Brian Daboll. Bring Daboll back.
That's been the headline.
Yeah, bring Daboll home. Have him work with the offense. See if he can do something with Josh the way he used to when he was there originally as the OC. Make that a thing. That's the only thing I can think of, though, that they go. Because everybody else, I mean, are you really just planning on restarting with a brand new head coach that Josh has no history with, that you really can't have that connection for the next 2 to 3 years? Because that's probably what it's going to take in order to actually get everything rolling the way you want it to. And again, much like you said, you're still not drafting well. You're still having to do all this with Keon Coleman as your number 1 wide receiver. So who really needs to take the responsibility for that? That's where I also agree with you that the promotion of Billy Bean to president of football operations is the weirdest move out of all of this. And that's saying something with literally nobody else out there as a head coach that would be better, in my opinion, than McDermott. There really isn't. And this is one of those situations, much like Tomlin and Harbaugh, where this is proven success that you are walking away from. So if you don't pivot to somebody that's going to have equal the amount of success, if not better, you're just shooting yourself in the foot and you're wasting all of these prime years for Josh Allen.
Yeah. And it looks like the more that I hear is Joe Brady's probably out. He's getting, second, third interviews with other teams. And then you're just going to break up pretty much the offensive mind that have taken you that far in the last couple of years. And if you don't have a plan, I mean, you would think if you're going to fire somebody that's been with your team 8-9 years, taking you to 4 or 5 different AFC championships. And one thing I have to bring up, because I heard it on the Drake Toll show, not only Friday, but again this morning. But is it this more like, okay, the Bills are just the victim of great teams, great franchises? Like, he brings up the good teams that never got past Jordan.
True.
So he brings up, the Mahomes and the Chiefs years. Okay, well, Josh Allen would have won that Super Bowl if it wasn't during the streak of, the Chiefs. Just like teams had to deal with Brady. Okay, well, then, they weren't out there firing their coaches every other year. But, what you've built in Buffalo, you're very close. You're a few pieces away. Say another, veteran offensive lineman, a number 1 wide receiver, and you're probably there. The defense could fill, some upgrades here and there, but they're in the divisional round of the playoffs. there are teams like the Ravens, the Steelers, the Chiefs that are all kind of dealing with the same thing, whether it was injuries or just that one game got past them and to get over the hump. Or you think Buffalo is now taking a step back, or do you think they actually have a plan? Because Dayball has been the headline.
Right.
Oh, they're going to bring Dayball back. Well, they would have done that without firing McDermott.
I think that they're hoping that the Dayball hiring, which I do believe is the only route for them, I think they believe that is going to be their Vrabel. I think that they believe that them hiring Brian Daboll is going to magically fix all the offensive woes with Josh, and they're going to go right back to being the AFC East champion and the favorite to win all this stuff, especially since there are some glaring questions about the Patriots, especially in these playoffs, because let's be honest, and I'll get to this in a second, they lucked out.
Yeah.
If CJ Stroud didn't look so damn bad, and I don't know where this kid went. He went from being the youngest quarterback to ever win a playoff game to being the quarterback that can't hold on to a football.
That was
Only
bad.
quarterback to ever have 5 interceptions and 5 fumbles in a playoff stretch. And that's only in 2 games. Ridiculous, but we'll get to that in a second. No, I do believe that they believe this whole move is going to have to be some sort of increase or improvement on McDermott. And the only thing that I am concerned about is the fact that McDermott is a defensive minded coach and you've given him literally nothing to work with on the defensive side, and he's made it look good. He's pulled a Tomlin. He's took Matt Milano and company, who you picked up from Walmart and Sonic and all of these other, places around Buffalo just to say, hey, come play football for us for a week. I mean, he's made it look good. Is someone like Brian Daboll going to have that kind of success coming in with a defense? Because granted, yes, you need somebody that can develop Josh and at least make the offense look like it's going to be a championship contender. But you still need a defense that's going to be able to stop someone like Patrick Mahomes, stop someone like Joe Burrow, stop someone like Lamar Jackson. Otherwise, you're just going to keep running into the issues. And I like the comparison to some of these teams, like, that were going against the Jordan era situation, because maybe that is the case. Maybe Josh is just the next in line of one of those great, great quarterbacks that never really win a ring because they go up against better talent or better team managers who know how to build a team a little bit better than they know how to build it in Buffalo. It is a good comparison. But that also makes me believe that we're wasting a player like Josh Allen, and he needs to go to a team that actually knows how to build a championship contender, because I'm starting to believe Buffalo has no idea how to do that.
Yeah, and I think if this next experience turns into 0 rings, that could be the next step, is just letting Josh Allen go.
Yeah, but see, how long do you wait?
And being the Bills, they'll probably never do it.
No. They'll probably try to hold on to him as long as they possibly can until he finally gets fed up and says, you know what, I want a chance. Send me to, I don't know, whoever's good at the time, Pittsburgh or Tampa Bay or whomever is good at the time. I think, honestly, I give him a 3-4 year window. If you don't get it done in the next 3-4 years, which is going to be a tall order after watching a lot of these other teams turn their franchises around in 2 years, including your division rival in New England, if you can't pull it off in the next 3 to 4 years, you got to find something to do with Josh, because it's not going to happen and you're going to ruin his entire career, which is just going to make it worse, in my personal opinion. Let's shift over to a different game, though, before we run out of time here in the first segment. The Seattle Seahawks went BTA on the 49ers, dude, 41-6. Who saw this coming? Now, granted, again, we've talked about this all year long. The 49ers have been riddled with injuries. They didn't have star tight end George Kittle in this game, let alone star linebackers and Fred Warner or any of their linebackers for that matter. But it's kind of been a weird season for the Niners, because they've gone back and forth with looking like a great defense and then looking like this. And I don't know if we could really chalk this up to just the Seattle defense being that good and being able to cause turnovers and just cause mass havoc for guys like Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, who ended up, getting dinged up in this game and I believe leaving in the 3rd or 4th quarter once it really got out of hand. Even with an oblique injury, Sam looks okay. I think that this team, more than likely, much like our guy David Keckner said on Saturday or on Friday, they might be walking into a Super Bowl. This is the most dangerous team, in my opinion. I don't care what the Rams looked like against the Bears. I think this team right now, if they can get Sam at least 90% healthy, they could be walking into a Super Bowl. They could be going to Santa Clara. What are your thoughts?
I think the same thing. I think Seattle's playing probably the hottest football right now, especially after seeing what New England came and what they brought. I think I'm not really hoping, because I would rather see a Rams, type game. But I mean, the Rams are on fumes. It looks like they're playing on fumes. I don't know if that was the Chicago's D, the weather, or what, but it's going to be tough going into Seattle and trying to beat that team. And we know how Seattle and the LA Rams play. They play twice a year. But I will say, no one's going to stop this Seattle team the way they're playing right now.
No. And if you can continue to run the ball like you did with Kenneth Walker in this game, now is he going to get 3 touchdowns a game? More likely not. But this does somewhat remind me of the Marshawn Lynch days of the Legion of Boom when they made it. Rely on the running back. Let him wind down the clock. Have your quarterback throw when he absolutely needs to, but leave him for, that ace in the hole when you absolutely need him to light it up, and let the defense do what they do best. And granted, let's take away the 95-yard kick return for a touchdown to begin the game. Okay, wipe that away. Let's wipe away the 3 touchdowns that Kenneth Walker had as well. Wipe that away too. Fine, go ahead. They still beat you.
Yeah,
they still whoop that regardless. BTA. It wasn't even close. And 49er fans right now may be sitting there saying, we were never supposed to be there in the first place. Hush your mouth. As long as you got Kyle Shanahan as your head coach, you will always be expected to get to a playoff, if not to the divisional round and further. So I don't want to hear you guys say we were never supposed to. Shh. Yes, you were. Yes, you were. The Seattle Seahawks were never supposed to be here. And they just proved to everybody exactly why they're here by getting Sam Darnold and Coach McDonald their first playoff wins of their career. First of many, I would hope.
I was more nervous that they kept him in the game for so damn long.
Especially with the oblique injury.
Get him out of this game.
I was like, just throw in Drew. You're fine. You don't need anything else. Just let Sam heal, please, because I don't want to see a situation where you're sitting there thinking, okay, we're going to the Super Bowl. Sam, just go throw one more pass for us. And then rip, there goes his oblique, and you're done. And now you have to deal with it just like the Denver Broncos do. No Bo Nix. Which, again,
we seen a Seahawks-Patriots rematch?
We might be. We might be seeing a Seahawks-Patriots rematch here.
Oh, boy.
And I don't know. That was not the rematch I was expecting to see in the Super Bowl this year, but hey, it is something that I am going to welcome with open arms because it's 2 teams that, granted, yes, do I want to see the New England dynasty, quote unquote, back? No. But to be fair, that hasn't happened yet. And until it actually happens and Drake May turns into Tom Brady, I'm not going to believe it's here yet. I'm going to believe this is the second coming of the Legion of Boom. And I would honestly prefer seeing them get revenge on the Patriots and not throw it on what down was that when they threw the slant route and he picked him off? Was that a second or third down? I can't even remember. Regardless, not throw it on the goal line, hand it to a big running back and say, here you go, bud. Go win us a football game, as we should. I mean, Coach Cignetti proved he could do that last night.
They did lose Charbonnet, but, I mean, Kenneth Walker.
Charbonnet is fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but he's not Kenneth.
No.
If you would have lost Kenneth Walker, I would have been a little more concerned. Charbonnet is the guy they trust a little bit in those, smaller yardage situations. But I think you can lean on a guy like Walker and say, go win us a football game. I really do, especially when you have to go against a Rams team and a Rams defense whose front 7 is going to be raring and ready to come after Sam Darnold. So you need to be able to trust a running back to be able to take that pressure off of him. Now, on the opposite side of this, the 49ers, what do? Retool, hope and pray that you don't have the injury bug next year, and potentially move your practice field so you don't have to deal with the PG&E stuff anymore. Because at this point, I don't know what is leading to all of these injuries with you guys. I really don't. But it is getting so glaring that you're missing out on Super Bowls.
I definitely get some strength and conditioning coaches.
Yes. Well, that's the other thing I was thinking is like, is it change of regimen? Is it change of the coaching staff?
Something
do you have
to do
to
with
move?
practice is something.
Like, do you need to build depth? Do you just need to go and literally have 2-3 guys at every position just in case, which would be really difficult to do in the NFL as a whole? but your core returns in 2026. You're not really losing anybody. Jawan Jennings is up for a contract, so maybe you have to sign him to somewhat big money. I personally think they need to move off of Brandon Ayuk and find a true number one wide receiver, just like Debo used to be. Maybe an AJ Brown, if the Philadelphia Eagles are so inclined to trade with you. And honestly, you'll be right back to where you need to be. But you've got to figure out who's going to be the number one pass catcher for Brock next year and make sure that guy stays on the field the entire dang season. That's going to be the big thing for me, at least for the 49ers. Let's take a break. We'll get to the other two games on the other side. CJ's absolute collapse. And is he ever going to bounce back from this? And we saw one of the greatest passes of all time in any football game. I don't care what you're talking about. Caleb Bam Williams is a wizard. He is a wizard. If Steph Curry is a wizard with a three-pointer, Caleb is a wizard with a football, and we're going to explain exactly why on the other side of this break. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. We are also streaming live every single day from 7 to 9 on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Feel free to join us on all those platforms and Instagram and TikTok as well. We finally got the real situation fixed up, so hopefully I'll be able to start releasing those again here once a day here in about a couple days. So hopefully you'll be seeing more of us on the social media platforms. Love to go on.
So we go down. We've gone through the Saturday games, and before we went, I mean, I have to agree, dude. Caleb, I was on the edge of my couch. I'm like, is this game over or what? I mean, I couldn't believe the play calling in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, it's fourth and goal pretty much. Time's running out. There's nothing. And then I see him running backwards. I'm like, what are you doing? No.
Hold on. Let's set the table, Spark.
Oh my God.
Let's set the table. Because we'll get to CJ's absolute collapse here in a second. Because at this point, the Houston Texans will only go as far as CJ Stroud will allow them, and it's not going to be very far. But let's set the table. Fourth quarter, down 17-10, Soldier Field. Everybody in Chicago, just like Sparky, sitting on the edge of their seat, waiting on bated breath. Is there going to be some magic still left out there in Soldier? Is there going to be anything still out there before they move to Gary, Indiana, potentially? In the last play, fourth down, Caleb Williams not only drops back to pass, but runs about 30 yards back to dodge 2 or 3 defenders and absolutely says, screw it, Cole's down there somewhere, throws it in the air as it sits up at the air, floating until it was finally touched by an angel. It comes right down as everybody in the stadium, silent as a mouse, not a single peep, as it comes down. Everybody watches, including the Rams secondary, who apparently had no idea Cole Kmet was even there, as it came right down perfectly, as if a magnet was put in Cole's hands. And plop, we're going to overtime. Now, the major question here that everybody is asking, Ben, you had a chance to get two field goals at the beginning of this game on fourth downs in which you already passed on. You showed that you got the cojones of your former head coach, Dan Campbell, and you believe in your team. You are that guy that's going to go and bite kneecaps off. You just pulled off the most improbable play in football history, and you don't go for 2? How do you not go for 2? You have all the momentum in the world. And they asked him that question at the end of it, and he said that they weren't doing very well in goal line situations, so he, quote unquote, didn't feel comfortable doing that.
It was in the thoughts.
I don't care if you don't feel comfortable. I didn't feel comfortable with Caleb dropping back 30 yards and lofting what could only be seen as a Steph Curry-esque pass to his tight end in the corner of the end zone. I didn't feel comfortable doing that either, but you did it. Score the 2-point conversion. Screw overtime. End it. But no. And honestly, the defense held up. It was Caleb's fault you lost this game. That was an ugly ball. I don't care what everybody says. Oh, Curl made a great play.
I didn't like the play calling.
I
personally, because on the second down, doing a run out, which didn't work all game.
Nope.
I'm like, what are you doing?
Hand it to Manungai right up the middle, just like everybody else, and go get that first down. Get to field goal range and let your kicker win it for you. That's the only reason the Bears lost this game. And if you're a Bears fan, at least you have the solace of saying, we got hope, man. We got absolute hope. This is going to be so much fun seeing what Ben Johnson can take Caleb Williams, who, again, I'm not the person saying this. I'm just parroting what everybody was saying during the game, and I agree with it 100%. He is a mold of clay right now. He's not even close to being what he's going to be when this is all said and done. And Ben is molding him perfectly. If you can already pull off feats like this at the end of games against championship contender teams, I can only imagine what you're going to be able to do in about 2 to 3 years. And I will echo what Stephen A. Smith said yesterday. They will be in a Super Bowl in the next 3 to 4 years, if not winning that Super Bowl.
I believe it.
I 100, especially if they can keep this defense together.
So I ask you, I mean, we're both athletes. We both coached. I mean, looking at a team that wasn't even supposed to be there, if we can go by that. But the first year with Ben Johnson really taking them where really a lot of people didn't think they were still missing pieces. This is the first year, like you said, that they've molded not only Caleb, but I mean, they were on a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they picked up all the free agents they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
This team is getting closer and closer. And I think even aside from not being on the same page on the long ball to DJ Moore, which was a force, it looked like a forced pass,
a little bit,
but I didn't like the play calling in the first place.
I agree with you. And I need to actually, I'm glad you brought up his name because I almost forgot to do this. I need to eat crow because DJ has finally come back to being on that same page with Caleb. I am finally seeing the relationship that we should be seeing. And I'm saying this because it's happened in the last month of football that the Bears have played. When they need a player to step up in money time, it has been DJ Moore. And I've been waiting for that to happen for 2 years. That's why at the beginning of this season, you heard me talk to Mr. Horowitz about this and say, I haven't seen it. I haven't seen this entire connection that they should be having. They have finally found that connection again. And that's another part of this entire thing with the offense I'm excited to see, which is Ben Johnson create that relationship, the hopeful Caleb Williams, DJ Moore connection that he had in Detroit between Jared and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think that's what he really wants in that situation. So I have to give him credit. Although, again, like you said, not on the same page on that last play at all. Hopefully you could rectify that here and get back to where you need to be. But I am going to eat crow and say it is finally happening. And DJ is finally looking like a number one wide receiver for Chicago. So I personally don't think they even need to go get another wide receiver. I think they have the three they need between DJ, Rome, and Burden. You're good. Just develop those three guys and you'll be perfectly fine.
You can stay healthy.
Yeah. So I forgot about that. I'm glad you brought his name up because that's the one thing I was thinking throughout that entire game watching it was they finally did it. They like this last month of football, I can honestly say Caleb and DJ are finally looking at each other and saying, go get it done. Yes, sir. Done. And it's happening. It's actually happening for Chicago. I'm very excited to see what happens. Now, on the opposite side of this, with the Rams moving on for a round 3 with their division rival in Seattle, we've already got 2 absolute just haymaker of games throughout this entire season between these two that also culminated in the last time they played, which was when Seattle went for 2 in overtime, hit it, and everybody was absolutely besides themselves. Probably did what the Bears should have did on Sunday, but it's okay. It's whatever. We're going to move past that. What do you see happening in this round 3? Obviously, Sam Darnold's not going to be as healthy as he was in week 16 when they faced off last time. That could be a problem, but Seattle pulled off a win last time, and Matt Stafford almost threw for 500 yards. So it looks like it really could be anybody's game.
I think it could be the same thing. I think the Rams haven't looked as good. I don't know if it's the matchups. I don't know. And it's it's Mike versus Sean. I think whatever they both enjoy the trick plays here and there. I think it's going to be a much closer game than we're expecting. I would expect. I mean, everybody in the media world is, oh, Seattle's going to spank them. I don't think anyone's going to spank the Rams.
I don't think anybody's.
First off,
I don't think anyone's spanking anybody in this game. I think this is going to be 2 Titans fighting each other.
And I think it's a perfect matchup in the NFC. Not only are they division rivals, but it's young coaches. Sean McVay, I think on the Rams side, I think that defense is a lot better than what the stats show. I think if anybody can I mean, I wouldn't know the right word, but I would say it's going to be on the quarterback play for Seattle, and it's not any difference. I think Stafford's going to have to throw 400 yards, 3-4 touchdowns, which isn't difficult when you have Puka, when you have guys like Devontae Adams. I think they're going to have to run the ball. Seattle's defense is stingy, man. They are stingy, and they're playing the best football they played this season right now. And I would expect this to lean into the last 2 minutes of the fourth quarter.
See, I don't think they need to throw the football that much to beat the Seattle Seahawks. I think what they need to do is lean on that 13 package that they've been doing a lot. And for those of you who don't know what a 13 package is, or a 1-3 personnel, it's 3 tight ends, 1 running back, 1 wide receiver. It's when you get that jumbo set Traditionally, you see a lot of teams run out of it because it's multiple tight ends. The beauty for the Rams, though,
They don't have to.
no, they got 3 stud tight ends that can all catch and make plays by themselves. And I think those 3 are going to be the key to winning this game. Granted, there's going to be a lot of attention on Adams and Puka to do stuff when you need them to. And they always step up. Every single time Stafford needs them to catch a ball, they catch a ball. But personally, I think if you're going to at least control this game and beat Seattle, one, you need to lean on the fact that Sam Darnold is not fully healthy and your defense needs to make it a rough day for him.
Yep.
But
They can do that.
But on the on the offensive side of the ball against their defense, you have to be able to control the game in chunks with those tight ends. Throw it to Parkinson, throw it to Higbee, get them out in open space 5-7 yards down the field and be able to dink and dump every single time, waste as much clock as humanly possible, and then run it in with Kyron Williams. It'll work. It'll look stupid to people outside, trust me, because not a lot of people like this style of football. But
that's how you beat Seattle.
It is how you beat Seattle. It's how you're going to make it work. You can't test this secondary. They're too good. This secondary is young, they're fast, and they are far too good. You have to be able to test the front 7 and the linebackers and make them make the plays.
What does Seattle have to do?
Honestly, hope and pray that Sam Darnold is healthy. And that's going to be the long and short of it for me.
And that Kenneth Walker can run the ball?
Yes. You have to be able to, one, isolate Jared Verse. Make sure he does not get to Sam Darnold. That's going to be the biggest test. That's what Chicago did with Caleb. They put Joe Tooney on Verse the entire game, and Verse was put on an island. That's where you want to be. But when it comes to Seattle controlling the game, you need a healthy Sam Darnold because he has to make those throws that only Sam Darnold can make. This secondary is talented, and they make plays just like you saw against the Bears. There's no name guys, but lesser known corners on this team that love having their name called, and they will make you pay if you throw any kind of a mistake. I think you need a healthy Sam Darnold and a healthy run game in order to make this work. I don't think Sam has to score a ton. I think as long as you keep the run game going like you did against the 49ers, you'll be fine. But the one luxury that you had against the Niners that you will not against the Rams is that the Niners defense, especially the interior defense, was all injured. You didn't have the linebackers there that usually make the plays on rundowns. The Rams do. And Nate Landman and the rest of those guys do not make mistakes very often. So you need to capitalize when they do make those mistakes.
Well, and you're going to want to tune in on Thursday because when we have Bolt on, we're going to get into this.
Oh, yes.
And I can't wait to hear what he says. I did listen to yesterday's show when we did hear from Bolt, and I was like, oh, man, he missed on that Niner game, but he was pretty on time.
He was on it with every other ones. I mean,
but before we go, let me get Daily Dave in here.
Yeah.
I want to hear from Daily Dave.
Sir, how are you? Good morning.
Morning, gentlemen. Wow is all I have to say. You called it. Caleb is a magician. I thought, like you said, one of you said earlier, they should have gone for 2.
When you have the momentum like that, you have to. It's just
you
have to learn from Dan Campbell and just say, you know what, we're not going to let them have a chance to win this game. We're going to take it ourselves.
That's what I thought. And then I thought the Bills got robbed. I thought that was a catch. I thought he landed with the ball, hit the ground. The guy was on top of him. Plays over. Anyway, and that's it. But I want to go on to, and then Devontae Adams had the catch of the day. I think Matt Stafford may have solidified the MVP. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. I mean, it's hard for me to argue Drake May anymore because he has had his struggles throughout this playoffs. And I was going to get to that here on the other side of the break because they really lucked out against a Houston team that just didn't want to hold on to the football. But at this point, it's hard for me to say that anybody besides Matthew Stafford deserves this award. The stats that he has put up, the leadership throughout the playoffs, it has to go to Matt.
Yeah, and I just want to skip to the college game last night.
Yes.
What a great game. Mendoza, he reminded me of Joe Burrow. And I have a question. When Joe Burrow won the Natty, did he win the Heisman that year?
I believe he did, but Sparky's double checking it for me right now. We'll have an answer for you. I have a question for you just because I'm curious how other people are thinking about this themselves. I was thinking about it last night. With Indiana winning the Natty, obviously they're going to be moving more towards an Alabama-esque setup. They're going to be very, very enticing for a lot of these athletes, these 4 or 5-star athletes to come in. Do you think that's going to make it a different game for Coach Signetti? Do you think that we're potentially going to be seeing a resurgence as the Hoosiers now have a football program?
Well, I think they're kind of, when I look at that coach, I look like I'm watching the old Alabama coach.
Right, Nick Saban. He comes from the same tree.
He's just businesslike, and the winningest coaches a lot of times like that. They're hardcore to the very end, And so I think he's going to maintain that. He's turned the ship around. They were sinking, now they're on top. But you have to have. They had a great quarterback, But and I want to say something about last night's game. I thought Miami was targeting the quarterback and hitting him late. What did you think?
I wouldn't go that far. I think that was just, the emotion of the game. I think one or two of them that they did call were pretty close to targeting, so that was a fair call. And to bench them for the half was absolutely fair. But I won't go as far as saying like there was a bounty gate kind of thing going out for Fernando. I think that's a little bit of a stretch.
But he proved to be Joe Burrow-esque.
Oh yeah.
And I look at him in the face and I see a young Bernie Kosar. Remember Bernie Kosar?
Yes, but my only issue with it, though, my friend, is I think we are forgetting that Fernando, throughout this entire playoff stretch, had no pressure on him at all. Not in a sense of outside looking in, but I mean like defensive pressure. The offensive line was so good that he didn't have to deal with a lot of pressure throughout this entire playoff run. That's not going to be the case in the pros, especially if he goes to a team like the Raiders. He's going to have to deal with that being the case all the time. So I don't know if we're going to see the same kind of player.
You're absolutely right. What do I always say? The three letters, PTQ.
Yep, protect the quarterback. 100%, sir.
If you get some time, you can make the plays. But
yeah, and it was the same year with Burrow.
Was it?
Nail on the head.
So you're absolutely, the comparisons to Burrow I see, don't get me wrong. I just don't know if he's that physically talented. Love the kid though. I think he's great. I think he's a fantastic personality as well. He'll definitely last.
That great timeout and fourth down call to go for it with the quarterback draw. And that reminded me of Burrow. I think he did the same kind of play in the Natty too. He kind of got swung around.
Right. Well, and the heads up play to stretch out for the 12-yard touchdown too, to give them the lead. And they needed that too in order to win the whole thing. Because if they don't score that touchdown and they have to kick a field goal there, more than likely, I think Miami stretches this into at least overtime. I don't know if it would have been that easy, but we got to take a break, my friend. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. Let's take a break. We'll get to the Patriots and Houston game on the other side, plus the coaching changes that happened over the weekend as my team and Sparky's team both found their new head coaches. And I don't think either of us are happy about it. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Is this just the instrumental or is this the actual song? Okay, good. What's that question? I played this on our sister station the other day. He asked for it. The host asked for Luda, so I played Rollout. He's like, "This is not the one I thought you were gonna pick." I was like, "What did you think I was gonna pick? Move? And I can't say the other word? Yeah. Come on now. Can't say that on the radio. What's wrong with you?" This is the Early Bird Special, though, right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 1230 AM on your radio, or you can join us every single day via video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We're also on Instagram and TikTok as well. Let's get to the final game of this divisional round before we get to the coaching moves. And our guy KG on the other side, talk all things wrestling. The Patriots pull it off? Question mark? While I say justice for my boy Will Anderson, how the hell do you have 3 sacks, 2 fumbles, and your team loses? And you had the lead. Again, I said this at the beginning of the show, but 28-16 was the final. I believe at one point, this was 16-10 or something of that nature. It was a pretty solid lead for the Houston Texans, and then a pick six happened among 4 others, or 3 others, I apologize, 4 total. This team can only go as far as CJ Stroud takes them. And that's sad to say when we've seen teams make it to the Super Bowl with guys like Rex Grossman as the quarterback. And you guys heard me last week. I legitimately thought Houston was going to be the next in line of those teams that was going to be able just to lean on the defense to get them to a Super Bowl. And they were that good. Do not get this twisted. They were that good in this game. Caused 3 turnovers. There were technically 10 total that hit the ground. Only 8 of them were picked up because 2 of the fumbles were picked up by the offense. But still, there were plenty of defensive plays that were made throughout this entire game. The defense showed up as it does every single week. But if they aren't calling for CJ Stroud's head in Houston right now, I don't know what is going on. Again, I said at the beginning of the show, the kid went from being the youngest quarterback to ever win a playoff game and do it in pretty convincing fashion to the first player in NFL history to ever have 5 interceptions and 5 fumbles in 1 playoff run. And that was in 2 games. Whether you want to blame him for the snap situation in game 1 or not anymore, I don't know. He damn near threw that game away too. And at this point, I'm going to blame him. Everybody, including myself, was sitting there saying, Anderson, the center, wasn't doing his job, or Andrews or whatever. Okay, fine. That's fair. But now at this point, I'm blaming CJ. You cannot go from having a game of 4 fumbles all off of snaps to 4 interceptions all off of you. Like, what? You are far too talented of a player to be able to be doing that. And this is too talented of a team to be waiting around for you to figure that out. And honestly, looking at him on the field, looking at his demeanor and the way he's carrying himself right now, I think he knows that. I think he knows that he's playing like absolute garbage. And that needs to change. This is a guy who went to Ohio State and had a lot of success over there. Came into the NFL, started out with a lot of success. Some arguably say one of the best rookie campaigns for a quarterback. And now we're seeing a shell of that, a shell of his former self. And that really sucks because this was we're talking about the Bills having the best opportunity to make it to a Super Bowl. This was your best opportunity to make it to a Super Bowl. Because if you did pull off this win, you would be going against a Jarrett Stidham in Denver and more than likely winning that game and heading to your first Super Bowl ever. So all of it goes right on the shoulders of CJ Stroud, in my opinion. That is all on you. If we're going to be this quick to throw it on Josh, it's got to go on CJ 100%.
Too. I mean, the defense did everything you'd want in a defense, and they had it that close. And I think if CJ would have just been the game manager that he was supposed to be, they're headed to the AFC Championship.
And what concerns me the most is that this most likely, if this continues, because this is now the third straight divisional loss for this team, if this continues, D'Amico Ryans could be fired. I mean, we're talking about McDermott getting fired. D'Amico Ryans could be let go. As crazy as that sounds right now, give it another 4 or 5 years of them not making it past the divisional round.
And that's giving them a couple extra years.
Exactly. Honestly. So I genuinely believe if this continues, Houston could be looking for a new head coach within the next 4 or 5 years.
And the first thing he said is CJ's our guy.
Which is what you have to say as a head coach. But if I'm being honest, CJ's extension year is coming up and I have questions. I really do. You could probably get some good draft picks for a guy like him too, or even I don't know, Joe Burrow. Someone who's not having fun playing for their team right now. I don't know. And on the opposite side,
they're looking at that. The Watson trade is what helped them build that defense.
It really is. And on the opposite side of this, Patriots essentially are going to be walking into a Super Bowl berth, in my opinion, taking on Jared Stidham and the Broncos.
Yeah, I don't care what you say, Sean. You can say Stidham is the next guy. If anything, he opens up our offense. Okay.
The only time Jared Stidham has ever been the guy was when he was the king of high school football in Texas. Yeah. Let's just keep it at that. The Patriots dynasty is back, ladies and gentlemen. As much as we all hate to say it, the Patriots dynasty is back, and now your favorite Patriot fan gets to dust off that old Tom Brady jersey and say, "We're back, baby!" Let's take a break. We're talking wrestling on the other side. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk 101.1 FM, 1230 AM. And it is time to talk wrestling with our guy 24KG as we do every single Tuesday at 8 o'clock. And Saturday night's main event is right around the corner, plus Royal Rumble in about 2 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. Live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Where's this Saturday night's main event going to be live from, my friend? Do you know?
Who knows? They're just throwing it together. You know, we 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. It feels like everything's being rushed. Things aren't really being flushed out. I feel like somebody's in a desperation grab right now and creative to hold on to the jobs. I sense desperation and blood in the water with some of these storylines. No, this ain't a negative. This ain't a negative. This is a
I was just about to say
eyeballs on. I don't know if you watch the same. You guys have you guys been watching the same Monday Night Raw that I've been watching the last 2 weeks? I've been letting some things slide. Okay, because I'm like, give it a chance. You got to give certain things a chance. You can't just not like stuff off the bat.
If
you know what I mean? How I know I like a fish fillet if I never tried a fish fillet. You know what I'm saying?
I'm the same with the McRib. I get it.
That's fair. And actually,
exactly.
You don't need to try that. You don't need to try the McRib.
You know what? See, Spark. I miss you guys. I hope you guys have had a great week. Football's been crazy. You know, I'm still. You asked what was wrong. You asked what was wrong. I'm gonna tell you.
Narrow it down to three. Narrow it down to three major things that you see wrong right now.
Okay, well, my Niners got the crap kicked out of them first and foremost.
Outside of the BTA, you took this.
We're going fishing. We're going fishing, all right? So if that just gives you a little idea how I'm
nice
feeling,
this time of year.
It is. It really is. I'm just saying. But we're going fishing. We're going on vacation. Great season, guys. But let's investigate that power plant by the stadium and try to pawn this off on something else other than our play style and coaching.
They're claiming it's not a thing. They've been at that practice facility for decades when they were quote unquote winning Super Bowls. So
hey, you know what? Everybody's pointing a finger when they're dressed like Spider-Man. Okay, so we'll just put it like that. Okay. All right, so top three things but to Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, with Raw. What's going on with Raw that you don't like? Because personally, I love it. So we'll see what we can clash here.
Look, in a lot of those things, I can agree with you on, but I get the sense that we are being rushed and things aren't being flushed and we're a little backed up and we're getting the Imodium AD treatment because the gut system is wrong with WWE right now. I don't know if you guys are picking up on the intensity of these UK fans, which always happens, but nonetheless, I feel like everybody's a little off. Maybe it's the time change. People don't look as well rested as they would going into this WWE Royal Rumble season. Things aren't as polished right now. And I'm getting the sense of the matter that the rush development wave is starting to hit the shore, so to speak. When you look at all these call-ups that happened, there's an adjustment period that needs to take place, and we're seeing it in real time. Last night, the injury scare with Javon Evans. Nobody wants to see that guy go on the injury shelf or be injury prone at all. And that goes for anybody. But it's crazy that it reminds us of what happened to Finn Balor, and he had to give up the Universal title, and his whole career path changed. And we'll get to that later on in the segment because he was in the main event with CM Punk. And I felt like just throughout the last two shows, the development of storyline is being rushed, not flushed, or they've spent too long on certain things. Now, we've got a bloated roster. Netflix, WWE Raw can go 3 hours, but they never do. And we have so many people that need to get television time. And weekly episode, we see different characters and all this great stuff like any show. But I'm feeling like it's not being fulfilled per episode. Now, you know how we leave cliffhangers in every situation where we need you to continue watching as a viewer. The athleticism is there. The intensity's there. But I just can't grasp what might be missing other than the feeling of we're sliding downhill into Royal Rumble season. This Saturday night's main event, which we thought we were done with, still continues to linger in 2026. We really don't know what's going on. I almost say that's the exciting part of watching wrestling again. But there are certain things that just don't feel like they're going to make sense for those intermediate viewers, not consistent viewers, or people that are just getting hip to the product because it's so dang popular right now. Some storylines, some characters are not going to get talked about. They're not going to get finished or wrapped up. We've got Grayson Waller making appearances with the New Day and no interaction or crossings between him and Austin Theory in this new iteration of his character, which I'm kind of disappointed in, honestly, because I just see him eating pins.
That is really
I also
weird
see Logan Paul breaking off with Paul Heyman and going somewhere else, and they can make $1 million on whatever show. Is this the end of the vision? There's a lot of questions that we could have that are question mark after question mark, spider web theory, wherever you want to go with it. Are any of these going to lead to Seth Rollins returning, some type of new iteration of the vision? Is this, you know what? My brain's leaking out of my ear right now. You know, blood pressure, frustration, all these things that coincide with some things just don't feel like they're sticking together. And the pivot is happening more than ever, especially during this condensed time where we've got the Royal Rumble in Riyadh. Kind of funny that it's scheduled at a place where the Saudi Arabian Sports Authority is kind of rumored to be buying WWE, these debts, these issues, so much media circulation, but who knows what's going to happen. So we just got to watch. We just got to watch the show.
Okay. Well, I mean, you make some interesting points there. I have been thinking too why Raw has not gone to a 3-hour time format, especially since they're the show with the with more stars on it, I should say. There's more of an influx of bigger talent on Raw just because of, what Netflix wants on the show. But I don't know. I personally love it. I think that this entire storyline that we have building for the Vision, especially against Adam Pearce, is really interesting, especially since they're going what seems to be the legal route with it. The idea that your boss can't put hands on you, like, at all, regardless of how heated the conversation gets. I'm interested to see where that goes next week as they bring Braun Breaker back and they try to figure out what the next step is for them. And to be honest, I think this is all going to set up a bigger match at a PLE, maybe a Royal Rumble, because we haven't gotten the Vision declaring themselves for the Rumble yet, as some of these other guys choose to do. And the other thing that I have to say too, when it comes to the Vision, I agree that I don't know why we're having Austin eat all the pins. I thought for sure Logan was going to be the one eating the pins, but
just to piss him off.
Maybe. I mean, I think that there's an underlining story here that is building that's probably centered around a Seth Rollins return at some point and a ultimate betrayal of Paul Heyman, where we'll see Paul fade off for a little bit and finally get the break he deserves. But I don't know. I personally love what we have been seeing. I loved the match last night between CM Punk and Finn Balor. I love that he came out to his old music, and we're starting to see the older Finn Balor return rather than this.
There were definitely some good highlights to last night's show. Definitely.
I mean,
it wasn't all bad.
I'm not sitting here saying that your gripes against them are unwarranted, but I don't know if the creative,
it's the little things. It's the little things.
There's definitely always, I think, just as a longtime wrestling fan, there's always going to be the small things that add up. And being a long-time fan like you, KG, I get it. I mean, there's going to be things. I personally, there's a couple that I gripe at just watching it. I mean, the whole thing with the whole thing with Kit Wilson, I don't get it. I don't understand it. It's stupid. And
I'm starting to love it. I'm not gonna lie.
And obviously what we saw last night with Maxine and
come on,
the betrayal.
Natalia.
Okay. What is that?
We seen that coming. We seen that coming a mile away,
But I think you're right with the Vision. I think it's gonna be the setup where Braun is rubbing the Vision wrong, and I think the whole thing is set up with one of them. Maybe it is Logan. Maybe it's somebody else. Not what we're expecting, but I think it's all gonna set up where Seth takes one, maybe two of the guys, and starts his revolution.
It's going to be something, because I can also see Finn Balor. You got to remember, we've got this storyline coinciding with AJ Styles putting his career on the line against Gunther. don't forget, we've got active members of the original Bullet Club that could make some type of on-screen one-off and really pop WWE's not just international ratings, but internet appeal to all the super fans and hardcore, Federation guys that know everything about everything and who was in what, just for the nostalgia moment. We know WWE won't shy away from that at all. When I say that the little things, like how you mentioned, stack up, we're seeing for the first time ever WWE really give people an off season. We're getting to see like LA Knight get to take a break. Damian Priest not being utilized as much, but still frequently. People that are actively being paid on the roster and cycled through the storyline. We're actually seeing a cycle through of storylines right now, which I think one of my modern discomforts of this era right now is that accepting the fact that not everybody's going to be used. You've got too much talent between one show, Monday Night Raw, that I speak of specifically, not to have people float over to the next show at some point periodically. The draft never worked out, but with the correct staff and creative, I think WWE is finding a way. They're chopping through the weeds right now. What works, what doesn't, who pops. Of course, anybody that moves the needle of merchandise, we're going to see. But not just because we're on this European tour. I think we're seeing less of what would be more frequented in the States, television promotions and all that, like Jey Uso. You know what I mean? He might be doing the live shows over there, but we've only seen him verbally on Monday Night Raw these last 2 weeks. One to announce, hey, the tag team division's on notice, and another one to declare his participation in the Royal Rumble, which also leaves me to bank about what's going on with the title pictures. Usually we have 2 or 3, maybe, title defenses at the Royal Rumble, but since they've implemented the Women's Royal Rumble and stretched it out, I can also see this becoming a 2-night event in the future.
I think that's
which leaves us more opportunity for these mid-card titles to be defended and more characters to be made. If it's all about profit margin and the marketability, prowess on television, then this should open up more opportunity. Just a theory, not an expert, but give it an expert opinion with a little coat of something on top that we could either call, facts.
I think that's why we're getting a Saturday night main event the week before.
Kind of,
yeah. Okay, we're gonna, get some of these matches that they didn't want to put on Royal Rumble. Maybe the Codys, or what I mean, getting the Cody Jacob Fatu fight out before the Rumble and see how it sticks.
Well, and obviously you can bounce off of that to the Rumble too, when they inevitably probably face off at some point. But I think that I'm pretty sure I had read they already announced that the plan is moving forward to make all the big PLEs, your Royal Rumble, your SummerSlam, and all those, they're supposed to become 2-day events rather than just having WrestleMania be the 2-night event. And honestly, they'll probably stretch WrestleMania into a whole weekend eventually. If
you could
make more money off of it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if you could split a penny in half, WWE will find a way to do it. Spotify does it, so
Well, I mean, again, we sit here talking about it as well, though, but they ran into an issue that I don't think any other wrestling promotion has really run into, which is the roster is just too deep. There's no way to showcase everybody. Like that's why they have to make if you had the pure amount of championships that AEW had on WWE, it would probably actually look like a normal amount because
thank God we don't.
No, I agree. I'm just saying
we don't, but that's a valid point. Very good. I mean, great point, Chris, because, and I stand on this honestly, WWE has had some very talented rosters over the years. We can all agree on that. But this one might have the best potential to take us into an era which we have yet to see. It's being carved right now with guys who have learned from the guys. Like, we have guys, but those guys who are retiring right now learn from some very well-generaled guys about wrestling. You know what I mean? Very experienced professionals. And to see it translate over right in front of our faces with even Triple H in his position, Road Dogg Jesse James, Paul Heyman really getting the freedom to remold, rebrand, reface the current WWE that we're seeing right now. There are going to be some uncomfortable moments. There are going to be some times where we're frustrated, confused, wondering, but still intrigued. Not in a morbid curiosity sense, but in the sense that got us attracted to the brand and product when we were youngins. The fascination, the spectacle, the carnivalism of it that has you tune in weekly for 30 years plus on in. My grandma watched it, my dad watched it, my mom watched it, everybody watched it, and you find your own characters that really draw you to the product. But in this era that we're in right now, specifically in a professional opinion, I think everybody, even as a fan, a consumer, just in general, you can see the rush and the crunch time that we're on, how this calendar year is moving with WWE's PLE events. When you include the AAA, the TNA, the NXTs, we are consuming high volumes of good wrestling product more so than ever before. It's on every network, every platform, anything visible that you can watch, you will find a WWE product. And I think that was the mission goal in general.
As they announced,
Tubi,
Unreal.
you turn on Hulu. Yeah, yes, Unreal
Season
just
2 is
dropped.
coming out today. The other things with all the other leagues, and on top of that, the rumors of over the weekend, whether it was the Dom picture of him, wearing an AEW belt, and then the news this morning coming out that Becky's
and WWE has got to be very
contract.
careful. They've got to be very careful right now, because with their product everywhere, super saturated in media, right under the microscope, it's very easy to teeter one way, and we could experience WWE fatigue. It has happened before.
No, I get that, but I want to touch on what Sparky just brought up, because I saw that as well and heard of the story. But did you hear about this underground wrestling promotion that happened over the weekend, where not only MJF did make an appearance and announce that their top 2 stars at that promotion will be now signed with AEW and be moving over, but there is a rumor that we got the match that I have been calling for weeks, which was Dom and MJF going up against each other, where Dom technically won. Now, it doesn't matter because it's not canon, nor does it, make any difference towards anything. But if this is legit, I am incredibly jealous that I was not at that promotion. One, just solely to see this masterpiece that would have been Dominic Mysterio against MJF. But that also means that this entire thing with Dom being injured isn't real. And he is most likely just away doing stuff for the company. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, anything's possible, as you'll see in season 2 of Unreal, WWE is not above faking an injury.
Well, and that's why I bring this up.
Yes, they're not above faking an injury on their television show for purposes of either vacation or other assignments for a wrestler's character.
Right.
This is the business, and if WWE can expand in a new territory with somebody who's very popular, they're going to do it. They're not going to shuffle feet on that. Right. So, yeah, it's possible.
That's why I bring that up. I know this isn't uncharted territory for wrestling. I realize that.
Very much so.
Of WWE has been trying to go about it in a way where the one thing you can at least trust coming from them is the injuries that happen within the company. The thought of Liv Morgan actually messing up her shoulder in that promo with Rhea and being gone for 6 months. There has to be a legit reason why they're gone for that long. Now, when they're gone for a couple weeks and come back and he's, see, the sling was all a farce. It's another, one of my lies. That's part of the show. But the ones that you're supposed to be able to trust are the real injuries and whatnot. I just highlight this because, again, this shows that the company is more along the lines of, we don't care if you believe it's real or not. We're going to be using it regardless. You know what I mean?
My thing is, until you see like the surgery, like, the BTS, the recovery, the rehab,
until you see them actually post a picture on their Instagram. And even if they do, there's no telling that's actually legit anymore. So we literally they have further blurred the line of reality and this, well, organization or promotion. And I have to commend them if that is the case. I really do. Let's talk about Saturday night's main event, though, because we do have that coming up this weekend. There's only two matches scheduled so far. I assume that they'll round out the rest of it on Friday at SmackDown. But we get Jacob Fatu and Cody, which I don't think was a match that anybody really thought we were going to be getting on our bingo cards in 2026. But personally, I'm welcoming of it. And then you get the fatal four-way between Damian Priest, Randy Orton, Trick Williams, and Sami Zayn for the number one contendership of who gets to take on Drew first. Who do you see coming out of both of those matches first, and who do you believe will be the other matches to fill the card?
Well, out of the Jacob Fatu and Cody situation, I see some interference going on right there. That's not going to end.
I hope not.
Because if it does, I'm putting Fatu over. You know what I mean? They're going to bring him back. They're going to put him on a roll. He might even eat the pin, but at the same time, there's going to be some type of shenanigans that go down on that show. Now, those two matches just mentioned between the four-way and Cody and Jacob, that's pretty much enough. You're going to see some filler that's going to happen that you said, I believe also will be flushed out through this week on either NXT or SmackDown. Since we are on the road to Royal Rumble season, 2 weeks away, right? We're in the season, so we're almost there. I think we're going to see some NXT guys declare for the Royal Rumble as well. Oh, yeah. Maybe some intermediate matches, something going on, some kind of addressment with the men's IC title situation with Dominic Mysterio either making an appearance, either live or via some type of, videogram, however they do it, a segment. Also, we need to get some eyes on that men's U.S. title situation, which could be flushed out even sooner. Now, I think Sami Zayn's going to take the four-way, honestly, and it's going to set up something. If not set up his win for the Royal Rumble, because WWE's not going to waste an opportunity to really exploit him winning in Riyadh. Come on, we seen this coming every time he makes an appearance out there. So you're saying him out there.
You're saying Sammy wins the four-way?
Yeah, I'm going with that.
Number one contender?
I think that's what's going to happen.
Okay, then why would he win the Rumble though?
Yeah, hey, something's going to happen where he loses and he has another opportunity to win.
Oh, you're saying he cashes in early. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Something's going to happen.
Sammy wins Saturday, comes out Friday, says, "No, I want my chance now." Loses on Friday and then wins again on Saturday. Okay.
But this also leaves something to happen along the way. I think they booked themselves into not a corner, but a little difficulty with the hot change to Drew McIntyre in the title picture. It does open up a lot more opportunity because people, even Cody addressed it. We're kind of getting sick of him coming out there doing this and that. Same thing. You notice that they're kind of giving these guys back the free range with their promos. Sammy even mentioned it. I know you guys are tired of hearing me talk about wanting to win a title. Well, I'm going to win one now. And unless somebody gets a signal from somebody in the higher ups and creative about being assertive like this, very assured, you almost see a revitalized, aggressive step in Sami Zayn's swagger. I think we're going to see something happen really good for this guy that's been a long time coming in the next few months, really.
No, and I agree. I think this is going to be an interesting it's going to be an interesting Rumble because I've always thought that Sammy was going to win the Rumble just solely because we're in Saudi and the love that he has in that community. Plus, it's just the underdog story that the WWE loves to run with every single time. Yeah. So it only makes sense that Sammy wins the Rumble. But that's why I think he loses the four-way. And honestly, wouldn't be surprised if he eats the pin. And
it could happen. You got Trick Williams in there showing out left and right now. Right. And it seems like his whole status is just growing rapidly every time he makes an appearance.
We've seen multiple times that they are not shy of putting Trick right into the main event scene. They did it in NXT. They did it in TNA. He won both of the belts multiple times. So it would not surprise me if they just say, all right, kid, now you get to go against Drew. Now you're going to lose, but we're going to test and see how good you can be against somebody of this caliber. I would not be surprised if they just automatically threw him out there. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see someone like Randy win.
See, that's what I think it's going to be Orton winning that, and I could see Sammy winning the Rumble, which I don't want to see. But
it
I
just
can see
it makes more sense creatively that way to me, that it goes that way, just because you get, I mean, and there's nobody else this year that really has that, like, he has to win the Rumble story. You know what I mean?
It's kind of anybody's game right now,
Right.
Almost I felt like there was a brass ring conversation that happened because I mean, everybody's going stupid hard in the ring right now. There is no match, even if you don't like the match, that doesn't have the effort behind it. And I can work with effort. Whether somebody misses a spot, messes up, whatever, you see the effort being applied in a situation where people usually get more comfortable, but they're still hungry now more so than ever. And I'm not going to say it's because they injected all these young bucks and new faces onto the rosters, but usually that's what happens in a situation.
Oh, just wait till
WWE.
Oba gets his hands on some of these guys. It's going to be so much fun.
You think we're not going to see an Oba Femi appearance at this Royal Rumble?
Oh, it's happening. I was actually just about to ask that, because with the Rumble,
he still has beef with Drew McIntyre.
Yes.
And I mean, these things are, come on. Money right there.
Oh, it's all being brewed in front of us. But the promos themselves have already shown multiple NXT and TNA stars at some point being shown in the promotion. Who do you think is going to be the biggest, well, the biggest person to come into the Royal Rumble this year that nobody's expecting?
Well, I think everybody's expecting Chris Jericho.
That's why I say that nobody's expecting, because everybody's expecting Jericho to come.
Everybody's expecting him. But
who's going to be the one that nobody saw coming? Because there's always one every single year in both of them.
Can I just go ahead and waste this one on Omos?
Wouldn't be surprising. He's popped up in AAA. And speaking of which, did you see the match between Viking Del Vikingo and El Grande over the weekend?
That's why I mentioned it. He's the heavy for Vikingo, and he stepped on El Grande Americano's neck so hard he was heard cursing at the referee in English and Spanish to tell him to lay off of my neck, which is crazy work, diabolical work. They ain't playing in AAA. I'm just saying, they ain't playing, bro. Somebody remind Vikingo, wrestling is scripted. Don't do that for real to your opponent.
Not in Mexico. That stuff ain't scripted.
Things that can go down out there,
You know dang well they play that in a different way. Anyways, who's the main surprise though?
Ooh, if I gotta go ahead and really roll the dice out there, I think it would have to be somebody we didn't expect to show up in WWE, if ever again, if at all. Maybe somebody from New Japan, maybe somebody from the past, maybe somebody retiring. But actually, I'll throw it out there on this one. I'll do a safe bet. Where has Rusev been? We need to see Rusev. Nobody's been talking about this guy. So I don't think anybody's expecting to see him, but he'll definitely show up. Maybe that'll be the time they can rebrand him.
I have two, and technically one's coming with Jericho, but Powerhouse Hobbs most likely will be jumping in this because his AEW contract has ended, and it is heavily rumored he has already signed a deal with the WWE. He is very good friends with Ricky Saints and Chris Jericho and a lot of these other guys. And honestly, he's built for the WWE. He's an old school WWE looking dude. So I would not be surprised at all if he goes in here. But another guy that I'm kind of hoping, and this is just a prayer and a random throw out there just because TNA is connected to all this, I'd love to see Sting. I'd love to see Sting one more round. If we're going to allow some of these other older cats to get one more shot, why not let Sting get one more shot in a Royal Rumble?
Bring the Hardys while you're at it. Bring the Hardys.
Might as well. They're in TNA. This is their last shot to get in here. Why not have Matt and Jeff get one more shot at it? You're not, because I think this is going to be the year that we're not going to get a lot of the mid-carders in the Royal Rumble this year. You're going to get a lot of NXT guys coming up that are going to be the new faces you're going to see. You're going to see Ethan Page, Joe Hendry. You're probably going to see Miles Bourne and all these other guys that are younger. And honestly, can't wait to see what they do with the ladder match that's going to be happening for their championship here very soon as well. Didn't get a chance to talk about that, but I think
it's crazy
that's
work going on in NXT.
Yeah, I think you're going to see that with maybe one or two randos that not a lot of people know about, and maybe one or two big names that are going to get that pop. Maybe a streamer. Maybe you get Kai Cenat this year since ISHO took a spear last year. You'll get Kai Cenat take an RKO or something.
I think we might get ISHO Speed again. You know, he's currently in the UK. He just wrapped up a tour in Africa and
McAfee,
one previously.
McAfee could be another one. I could see McAfee returning. I would not be surprised to see that at all. I mean, is there another one you could think of, Spark, before we let him go?
I was thinking the Hardys just because all the
TNA work,
all the talk, and I was trying to think of
Mike Santana,
in the
maybe.
women's. Like who would be a surprise in the women's division?
It's going to be hard to get a surprise in the women's division this year after what they pulled last year with Jordan Grace and the TNA girls and Naomi coming back and all that.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to top. I think we could see Bianca Belair make a return if she's fully healed, ready to go.
Cora Jade just made her return to TNA, so maybe she pops into this as well. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, before we go, I did have one more question. Do you think I know the third match on Saturday night is Rio against Liv and Roxanne? Do you think
that's right.
You think they take the titles?
There's a strong possibility they could, but with what just happened with Finn Balor getting his old music back, possibly going babyface, I think we see the dismantling of Judgment Day happen. And this kind of solidifies them going in a spiraling out direction since Finn didn't win a title, Liv didn't win a title, Raquel didn't win it. Well, Raquel has still yet to go through her situation with Stephanie. It's looking like it's a wrap for Judgment Day until Dominic comes back, and then they can just slam the gavel down and just, really disperse.
He's still injured.
He's injured.
He's still dealing with that injury. And I was hoping he would show up last night.
So did I.
If there was any moment for him to pop back up and help in some way, it would have been helping Finn win that title. And I had a little bit of hope. I'm not going to lie. Watching that Punk match, I knew it wasn't going to happen.
Me too.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you. They did it with Cody and Drew. And we would have been like, I would have been cool with that. If they would have took that off of Punk real quick just to do a quick hand back.
I would have been cool with me. Okay with it too. But honestly, I think we need a long sustained championship run with Finn Balor with one of these main titles. It has been too long. And I know he's a jobber in a way, like he's more than willing to lay down and let somebody else go over. But I think it's time, man. He has propelled guys like Damian over the top. He's propelled guys like Cody and CM Punk. Let's let the Demon have a run.
Let him do it when he comes back with Seth Rollins.
There you go. And that's the rivalry we really need to pan out and get him his licks, because he's got to
get that good closure.
He really does. But my friend, we have run out of time, unfortunately. We will talk to you next week. Thank you for everything, as always.
Indeed.
We'll take a break real quick. This is the Early Bird Special right here on KGEO Sports Talk. Welcome back. Early bird special right here on KGEO Sports Talk, 101.1 FM, 12:30 a.m. Want to thank our guy 24KG for coming in and talking all things wrestling with us.
Unreal tonight.
I can't wait. I've actually just got done scrolling through Facebook a little bit just to see if there was any breaking news, which there is, and I'll get to in a second. But the internet has already watched some of it, and just to let you know, that's not how Money in the Bank was supposed to end.
Yeah, and I know the promo last night during Raw is one of the ones that they focused on was the R-Truth firing, which wasn't a firing. It was just a relapse of not redoing his contract. And
it was business hardball. It was them saying they were challenging him. They were pretty much calling his bluff, just saying, oh, well, if you don't want it. And then he took it as legit. So I can't wait to watch all of this. The first season was so much fun. And I personally love getting the little look behind the curtain. I know the wrestlers don't like it a lot, or some of them don't. I know some of the traditionalists don't like it.
Paul Heyman.
Personally, I love it. I love knowing what you guys go through, and I love knowing like how I can honestly understand it better. That's just all I can think of. I'm not trying to take it over. I'm not trying to sit here and claim I know more than the people that are doing it. All I want to know is what's in your head while you're doing it. It's just like being a coach. I just want to know what that coach is thinking on the sideline when he doesn't go for two. Ben Johnson.
And if you watch Stranger Things, they released one of those types of behind the wheel. Well. Me and the family watched that over the weekend. It was awesome.
Is it pretty good?
Okay, yeah, it was really good.
Can't wait to check that out.
If you like that behind the scenes type stuff and you know how much work is actually put into it.
I do sometimes. It depends on the show.
They didn't even have the final episode written.
Yeah, that's what
they were filming.
I had heard that. That's some of the cool stuff that I like is when you know that the directors really had a vision but didn't have a path. And sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't. And in this case, I don't know. I guess it just depends on where you sit on that line. Because personally, I think it worked out, but there's a lot of people that say it didn't.
Yeah.
Breaking news, though, out of the coaching ranks of the NFL, the Falcons have chosen their next offensive line coach and legendary coach Bill Callahan, former head coach of the Raiders. I'm okay with this. I'm completely okay with this. Bring on the legendary coaches. Let's make this a thing. Let's make this a championship caliber staff so we can get back to where we belong and absolutely wash away the 28-3 nonsense. And if we have to take Drake May out and sacrifice him like a goat, then that's exactly what we're going to do, damn it.
So going to the coach hires since we've been on.
Yes.
You're happy with the Stefanski hire?
No, but it is what it is. I mean, you called this weeks ago, my friend, and honestly, I'm going to have to start taking that promo down now of me making fun of Mr. Stefanski for him being fired. Well, that was coming anyway. It's 2 weeks old. I need to replace it. But here's the thing. I am not crazy about the move, but I don't think Atlanta could have gotten better outside of Robert Saleh. I think that what they have planned, I see the vision. Okay, Kevin Stefanski, 2-time coach of the year, multiple-time 11-game wins with the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, I want to highlight that very, very vociferously. It was the Cleveland Browns that he took to 11 wins twice. And that's why he got coach of the year. Let's not get crazy. Everybody was saying he won it just solely because he was the coach of the Cleveland Browns. And he's also former quarterback coach for the Vikings when Kirk Cousins was there. He is a guy that can develop a quarterback very well, which is what you want with a guy like Michael Penix. So it makes sense in that area. So I see the vision. And the rumor is that they're going to be going for Tommy Rees out there in Notre Dame, trying to convince him to come over and create a very play action heavy and run heavy offense, which Atlanta would benefit from in ridiculous ways, with guys like Bijan and Tyler running the ball, and then Kyle Pitts, Darrell Mooney, and Drake London running deep patterns. It'll be great. So I see the vision. But I'm going to tell you what the outcome is going to be right now. We're going to get 2 to 3 years, 4 years of pretty successful football, but with no shot at a Super Bowl. And it's going to continue and continue and continue until something happens with the fan base where they all yell, see, this is why we like the Shador family instead of Stefanski. Because that's what they're crying already. Most of the people that I've seen online say, we like Shador. we didn't like this guy. Why are you signing this guy? So personally, I see the vision. I think it's going to be an offensive turnaround, hopefully, which is what you're hoping for, especially if you can keep a guy like Jeff Ulbrich there for a while and develop the defense. But am I going to say this gets us any closer to a Super Bowl? Maybe with bringing in guys like Bill Callahan, it does. If we can bring in guys like Tommy Rees, maybe. But personally, I'm not crazily convinced that Kevin Stefanski is the coach to get us all the way to where we want to be. We'll see, though. Maybe he can make me look stupid here in the first 2-3 years, and Atlanta gets right in there, and we compete for a Super Bowl in the first year. Who knows? I've seen Ben Johnson do it with the Bears, so maybe Stefanski can do it with the Falcons.
With other hires since we've been on, we brought up Saleh, who is completing the contract with the Tennessee Titans, which I think is a great pickup. I don't understand why they ever let the
Vrabel era
go.
No, and this honestly would get you back to that kind of a team. Definitely no nonsense, defensive focused. My only concern, I say, and I say concern as like a loose term here. I assumed you were going to be going for a guy that could develop Cam. But Cam was supposed to be very hands-on with the decision in actually choosing who the next head coach would be. So there's no saying Cam didn't red or green light this and tell them, yeah, no, let's do it. I think Robert is the perfect guy for us. Saleh obviously turned the Niners defense around into what it is this year.
I think that opens the door for a Mike McDaniel offensive coordinator job, teaming up with his boy, Robert Saleh.
And maybe McDaniel is the guy that's going to be able to unlock the next level of Cam Ward's game and, get those short intermediate routes with a little bit of a movement style thing with some faster receivers. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is just yet. I like the idea of Tennessee just going back to a defensive-minded guy, no nonsense. I think that is really where they excelled the most, is when they focused on the defense. So maybe this is the right move for Tennessee, but we'll see here in the next year. And then you guys finding yours, Miami moving with Jeff Hafley from Green Bay, the defensive coordinator, obviously taking the job because of their new GM, Mr. John Eric Sullivan, also being a former Green Bay Packer himself. Looks like they have moved towards, Packer football in Miami, trying to turn that around.
It's not like we haven't done that before.
I'm kind of disappointed you guys didn't get Shula. I'm not going to lie, but Hafley, let's be honest and let's be fair here. 9th this year in yards allowed, 6th in yards per play, 8th in points per game. I mean, there was a point where the Packers weren't even allowing more than 16 points a game. So that at least puts you guys in a pretty good position to win football games, don't you think?
I like his story. He's been kind of the McDaniel route, where he started at the bottom of the coaching tree and went up for the last 20 years. I do like what I've seen on paper.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the Packers defense, which started out the season great, but after injuries, which you can blame injuries, you can blame whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a defensive type guy, so I'm going to go with the defensive mind. And I think that I just want to see what kind of offensive coordinator they're going to bring in to fix whatever. I know the rumors out of Miami is that they believe that, listening to the interviews with the GM, with the new head coach,
mm-hmm.
they all believe in, building with the young talent, which I've been saying for years, which I would expect, the names that he brought up, which was Waddle, which was, the young A-Chain, the guys like that,
mm-hmm.
and didn't mention guys like Tua and Tyreek Hill, which I would expect. Over the weekend, we saw the tweet from Tyreek saying it's time to go home. Some thought, okay, he's talking about going to the Falcons because he is a Georgia guy, or he's just going back to Kansas City, which I would expect now that they've brought back Eric Bieniemy to be the offensive coordinator. Ooh, big surprise.
Yeah.
But I would think Tyreek is going back to Kansas City.
I agree.
I personally think this is going to be a 3, 4, or 5 year where they rebuild with some young offensive talent, which I think is what's needed, not to go spend a ton of money in salary cap in free agents, and we'll see what we see. But I was more surprised of guys like McDaniel, Joe Brady, that are getting second interviews with a lot of teams, but not inking the deal, which I was expecting somebody like Joe Brady or Shula to be the next Dolphin head coach.
Honestly, Shula would have been perfect just because of the namesake alone. But Joe Brady, I think, will be getting one of these head coaching jobs here very, very soon. You just had to wait for the team to obviously lose to be able to do the face-to-face interviews. Plus, you got to give the guy a day or two before, to shake off the loss so he's not an absolute sad sack during the interview itself. I think this is a solid move for you guys. 5-year contract with the guy to kind of build this. And now I think the biggest glaring question is what you do at the quarterback position. Obviously, you could make a move maybe for a younger quarterback in Malik Willis, who used to play it with Halfley, or they decide to draft somebody, maybe move up for a Ty Simpson in this situation, because I think obviously Mendoza's out, Dante Moore not coming into the draft. If Trinidad Chambliss doesn't get his year of eligibility, maybe he's on the table. Where do you think they go in that regard? Because that is going to be a big, big factor on who or how well this offense can run, is if you guys have a quarterback that can actually run it.
I would not be surprised if it's Malik Willis. I wouldn't be surprised if they pick up a later round quarterback and kind of just see how it all plans out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just still kind of waiting. Let's see who the offensive coordinator is,
Mm-hmm.
who he's worked with, before I can start putting puzzle pieces together. And looking at other coaches and interviews, I was surprised with the Lions bringing in the
Drew Petzing. Yeah,
I was a little bit surprised with that one.
I was looking at that last night as well, because I was trying to wrap my head around it. For those who didn't see, the new offensive coordinator now for the Detroit Lions will be Drew Petzing, who was the offensive coordinator for Gannon out there in Arizona for a couple years. I can only assume they're doing this because he has a focus in the pass game with a intricate run game that utilizes the athletic ability of the running backs. So we obviously know Montgomery probably will not be re-signing with the Detroit Lions. Will be trying to find a starting job somewhere else, which means they're going to be leaning on guys like Jahmyr Gibbs and that pass game with Laporta and St. Brown and Williams a lot more, which I would assume means that they're going to be leaning on a guy like Petzing to just create some really intricate pass lanes and intricate pass plays that are going to make it easier for guys like Jared Goff to be successful. Plus, it's somebody that you don't have to take play calling away from, I guess, in a way. That was the main focus for the Detroit Lions coming into this, is they were looking for a leader and somebody that they can essentially just tell Dan, don't worry about it. I'll take care of the offense. You go be the CEO that you're good at being. And I think that's what they've found in Drew Petzing. I was honestly surprised it wasn't Mike McDaniel.
So was I.
But I think that they see something in Petzing that just maybe they didn't see in McDaniel. And maybe it's the fact that Petzing can actually, formulate a sentence without stuttering 15 billion times. I'm not 100% sure.
I've seen other interviews that are set up today. McCarthy is interviewing with Pittsburgh.
And
Jesse Minter with the Ravens. I mean, the Raiders are lining up a ton of interviews as well.
McCarthy to Pittsburgh is the only thing that makes sense, just because he's a Pittsburgh guy. He really does encapsulate what the Pittsburgh city is all about. He's hardworking. He's blue collar. He's going to be the guy, in my personal opinion. But you had brought up the most interesting one to me over the weekend, which was Eric Bieniemy coming back to the Kansas City Chiefs to be the offensive coordinator. Do you think this is essentially Andy Reid telling Eric, I apologize, hey, I got maybe 3-4 years left at most.
And then it's yours.
Exactly. Yep. Pulling the Bill Belichick and saying this entire thing is going to be on you since you and Patrick worked the best together. Do you think this is finally the Kansas City Chiefs telling Bieniemy, we trust you. You just got to give us a couple more years.
Yep. And I see that with Tyreek Hill coming back to Kansas City.
Yep. I could not agree more. And that's probably going to be all they need to actually convince Travis to come back for one more year for a retirement tour.
But it lands on how big is this Mahomes injury?
That's true. He claims he's going to be back for week 1, and they are 9th in the draft. And you know who's perfectly going to land right in their laps? A man by the name of Love. And no, for those of you who are Raider fans, Charger fans, and Bronco fans, you are not going to be loving this running back at all. If you want to give Patrick Mahomes any kind of weapon, you do not want to give him a guy by the name of Jeremiah Love from Notre Dame. That's going to be an incredible pairing, and they've been waiting for a running back for years out there in Kansas City since Jamal Charles. This could be the next big one. I'm telling you right now. We got to get out of here, though. Thank you guys for joining us. We Really, really appreciate it. Join us back here tomorrow, 7 to 9. As always, we'll be talking to our guy, Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors. Their incredible 2026 season continues. For us, though, we got to get out of here. Here comes Blech and Abdallah. Sparky, let's get out of here.